surgery.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
So, clearly this week we are talking about surgeries. We've already talked about scars and body acceptance, but this week we kind of wanted to talk more about surgeries, what we've had, how we felt, anything like that to help anyone else out there who goes through it rather frequently like some of us do. So, if you notice, I have a little companion with my video this week. I got access to do IV antibiotics for my last week in the US, just to make sure I was doing as well as I can be while I'm in Europe. I really don't mind home IVs that much, besides waking up at 5 in the morning. It's really not that inconvenient to me. You just throw it into a hoodie pocket or anything like that. And I was getting a little bit of a cough before my trip, so I called my doctors. I was like, I don't want to go to Europe having any slight bit of cough or feeling anything but 100%. So this is my buddy for the next week. And they put the little patch under here, very off-centered, and my OCD kind of hates that. But either way, if you're wondering what that shiny thing is, it is the plastic to cover that. But talking about surgeries that we've had, I honestly haven't had that many surgeries, especially compared to most CF people. When it comes to surgeries, I had, I believe, only 4 in my entire life, which is crazy, whereas some people have 4 in a year. But my first surgery was when I was a baby. I had a central line put in. I'll also link the link to my scars and body acceptance video, because I show all of my scars. I'm not gonna do that again. You all saw that once. But if you want to see that, I'll put the link down below. So when I was little, I actually had a central line put in. And then my first main surgery was having a feeding tube or a G-tube put into my stomach. I was diagnosed with failure to thrive, as you all know. So the one way I was able to keep nutrients in was to put a G-tube in. It was just easiest for me and my family. And I actually had that till I was 8 years old. So I do have a scar from that, but I don't remember that surgery whatsoever, honestly, because I was like 3 months old. Beyond that, I was perfectly fine, never had any surgeries until the age of 12. That was my only really scary surgery that I've ever had. I had what ended up being an intestinal blockage and was admitted through the ER eventually after sitting at home rolling around in pain from my stomach. And they finally figured out days later that I had an intestinal blockage. So after a multitude of uncomfortable and rather graphic tests were done to figure out what was wrong with me, I was rushed into emergency surgery, and I honestly only remember bits and pieces of it. I was so little and everything happened so fast that the only thing I really remember next was waking up in recovery, and that was horrible. I remember the recovery from that surgery was just so painful and so uncomfortable, and I remember vividly just crying to my mom and my aunt that I wanted water, I wanted anything, because I was so thirsty, so hungry, and because it was my intestines, I was on a no food diet, and the only thing they could give me were little sponges of water on my mouth and little bits of ice chips every few hours. So the recovery on that was not the best in the world. But like I said, I was 12 and that was my first surgery I'd ever had. My next surgery was, God, I don't even know what my next surgery was. Oh, my next surgery was to correct a lot of the scars that I had. In high school, if you look at my scars and body acceptance video, you know that I decided to reconstruct a lot of my scars because I just didn't enjoy being reminded that I had CF every time I looked in the mirror. It was a personal choice and something that I am still very happy with, and I don't think scars are ugly. I don't think anything like that. It was just something that I wanted to do to make myself feel better about the way I viewed my body. So when I was 15, I had a few scars reconstructed, including my feeding tube scar, one of my central line scars that had kind of gotten messed up, and a random scar on my lip that I had, completely unrelated to CF, that I had shoved a Sesame Street toy, I believe, through my lip when I was 2 or 3 years old jumping on the bed. But it looked like I had constantly had a giant fat lip that hung down over my teeth. So while I was under, I asked, why not? Could you fix that too? And the recovery from that surgery was honestly perfectly fine. I laid on the couch for a few days, watched TV, ate some candy, and I was back to school, I think, the next week, and it was fine. My next surgery, and probably my most entertaining surgery, was my port placement that I had in 2013. And when I say entertaining, the reason I say entertaining is because this is what happened afterwards.
So, you have anything you want to say to Logan or anybody? Tell that you're finished? Say hi, Logan.
Their happy medicine is very good.
And what are you having there?
Give me animal crackers.
What's the animal you got there? What animal are you eating? Huh?
Camel.
A what?
Camel.
Camel.
It's not a hump day.
Is it a good camel? Tasty camel, huh? Good.
So yes, my father loves to document things like that, and I was actually put under twilight sedation, so I was supposedly awake the entire time during surgery, talking to the surgeon, talking to them all, making them laugh. I'm supposedly hilarious under anesthesia. Who knew? But I really don't remember any of it. I do remember during the time that I knew exactly what was going on. I knew everything that was happening around me. They were talking to me, but now that I look back on it, I can't remember what they were saying to me or really anything. And all I remember is really going in, laying down, and then being wheeled out and sitting with my dad. So even though I was awake during the whole time, I don't remember any of it. But like you see, it had some pretty interesting results at the end. That surgery was perfectly fine for me. That one hurt a lot, and maybe it was because I was older and more aware of what was going on, but this entire part of my upper chest was so sore. It felt like I had been in a fight, and it swelled up a little bit, and it was just so painful. And a lot of people asked me why I chose to get my port, because I'd actually only had 4 PICC lines, but I had a few too many bad experiences with PICC lines, and my last one actually being so horrible that I never wanted to do it again. And I kind of realized one of the main reasons I was avoiding doing IV antibiotics a lot was because I was so scared of getting a PICC line. Rather than doing it to help myself, I was just avoiding it because I didn't want to go through that process. So to get around all of that, I just decided to get the port so that when I did need it, I could get it right then. Just make life so much easier and make it a little less stressful on me. So that's why I have my port only after having 4 PICC lines. My last surgery, and probably the one that if you've been watching you already know about, was getting my wisdom teeth taken out. And that one also ended up being rather hilarious afterwards. And again, my father was there to document.
There she is, fresh out of surgery. And so, how do you feel, Charles?
I don't feel too bad. Everything's all numb.
A little numb? Huh?
So, clearly my dad loves recording all of these events, but thankfully he has them so now I can share them with all of you. But when it comes to surgeries, I am probably not the most well-versed in the subject just because I've only had a handful of surgeries my entire life. I know some people have a sinus surgery every 3 months or have had so many surgeries. I think Miranda has had 20 sinus surgeries, and I thankfully have had perfect sinuses my entire life and have never even had to think about having that. So when it comes to surgeries, I might not be the most knowledgeable in this area, and that's fine. But I just wanted to share with you the surgeries I have had, some little funny videos that I had from those surgeries. But if you guys have any questions or just want to drop a comment in the comments down below, go ahead and I will put the link to my scars and body acceptance video down below, which I also go over all of my surgeries in that video as well. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, tell everybody. But until next week, I will see you guys later. Alright, thanks. Bye.